another episode of Voices of Inclusive Research. I'm your podcast host, Dr. Ren, founder of Diverse Research Now. And today we will hear the voice of Mr. Joseph Frazier, who is a community member with something to say about clinical research. Let's get right into it. This is an important conversation. Hi, Mr. Frazier. Thank you for being here today.
Of course.
Okay, so I want everyone to know that Mr. Frazier, he actually has not participated in research. However, he has an interest in participating. And so he's going to share with us his personal thoughts and feelings about participating in research. What are those thoughts and feelings you have?
So, of course, as a group of people, right, as Black people, I think it's important to understand some of the things that affect us more than it affects others, and also being able to communicate well to our next of kin by just understanding that there may be positions they may have to fill. There may be things that they have to read on, understand about. I have a little bit of information on. My mother's father was the first that I'm aware of to be diagnosed with vascular dementia.
Okay.
And knowing that my mother didn't have an opportunity to meet him until she was in her early 30s. So there's so much in that we don't know.
Yeah.
She was in her 30s then. So it's so many things that we don't know. And that's the unfortunate part of that, because my mom later got sick as well, and she was diagnosed with the same condition. So, there was only so many things that once we got the diagnosis that we could kind of research, find out about, and things like that.
Yeah.
But there's no cure. And it is a slow decline in the abilities to function.
Yeah.
And that was devastating to one, never heard of it, two, not know what to do about it.
Right.
Hearing from her doctors that it's mainly dietary. And so that's really important information. That's really important information to understand that a lot of the reasons that our community suffers is because we eat the same thing.
Oh, that's a big one. Don't talk about our food now.
And that's the part, right? That's the part that hurts the most, because you have recipes, you got grandma's this, you got grandma's that. But when you think about the things that hinder and hurt our community, it is those things. It is the things that we put in our body. And so it's important to talk about.
So what I'm hearing is that it's important for you. Research is important because you want to know all about this health condition that your grandfather and your mother was ill with. I mean, makes complete sense. And that's so smart of you to want to have as much information as possible. The thing about research is, and I don't think people think that far into it. People think immediately, which is the next thing we're going to talk about, is the most common misconceptions. Because people think immediately, oh, I don't want to be a guinea pig. I don't want to be pried and poked. And however, honestly, us being researched and being pried and poked, we could find some great information out and really discover something that could help us with our quality of life, or help us to live longer.
Very true. Very true.
Is that one of the main misconceptions for you, or are there other common misconceptions you feel like you hear or kind of realize in the community?
That's mainly it. And it's almost like we don't want to know,
Ooh, what? That is good, because I hear people say that. I hear people say that they don't, if something's going on with them, they don't want to know. What do you think about that, though? Because that sounds so crazy. I understand where it would be coming from, because I think that kind of goes into the culture of our community anyway. We deal with so many things. A lot of times it's so much stress going on in our community that I don't need to know one more thing.
Exactly. That I need to worry about, right? It's how long am I going to be on this earth? I don't want to have to worry about that. But unfortunately, that's what this culture has been created for us. We have to take care of ourselves, because if we're realizing and we're relying on a group of people to look out for us, and we won't do the same for ourselves. And so I want us to be very understanding, hey, you can ask of someone, but you also have to have the ability to follow up yourself and go ahead and do. It's out here. Today is a little different. Before, you might have to do a lot of research and find out these things. But today it's like it's really out here for you to at least get a baseline of just generally like the things that we suffer from as a group of people, which is diabetes, like, you know, is a
Mm,
huge thing. And so it's like if you know the concept of where it comes from, you have to pass that information down. You have to teach that. You have to prepare
mm.
food that way. You have to teach your kids, like, hey, these are the things that you look for to avoid these different things that I deal with.
I like that. I like that you said to pass things down because I
Yeah.
do think that every generation has a responsibility to learn as much as possible about life, right? Like
Yeah.
about
Yeah, for sure.
everything, like to
For
learn
sure.
as much as possible and to pass that down. It's their responsibility to pass that down to their children
Mm.
and the generations coming after them. Every generation, we hope, is supposed to do better and better, be smarter and smarter, right?
Smarter, right? Yeah, of
So,
course.
like,
That's the hope, you know?
that's a good one about research, about participating in research. We always say that research is not for everybody, and we're not trying to get everybody involved. We just want diverse research. Now, what we do is we want to just bring it to the forefront of our community so people are aware that it's an option and that, hey, the health condition you're dealing with is being researched. I want you to know that. If you can be involved in the research, it could be valuable to you. So that's what, like, our message. Just consider it, you know? So one of my colleagues I used to work with back in Chicago, we're both from Chicago, guys.
By the way,
Chi-town.
yeah. Same.
One of my colleagues, that's the main thing. She used to work in the community, and actually she's going to be a guest on here soon, but she used to work in the Black community, older generation community, elderly. And she would tell them like, hey, your participation in research could help your grandchildren. Participating and sharing what's going on with you could help your other generations, which is, I think, is huge. Like, why wouldn't we not want to do that?
That's what I mean. That's the importance because even if, you know, like I said, I mean, our expectancy as far as length of life is decreasing rapidly, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. And
Mm.
so I'm 40. So, right, I'll be 41 this year. And literally, my friends are just having strokes or having heart attack, cardiac
And that's
arrest. It's
still
just like,
so young.
and it's like, I don't think we understand that it is so much involved with what we eat. You know, I just don't think we're correlating like where it's coming from. And I think we look for others to help us fix it. And
Okay.
that's just my biggest thing with my community. Like, I really want us to internalize our issues and figure out a way. And that's why I appreciate you
Mm-hmm.
and putting this together because it's the importance of information
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's important to have access to it
Mm-hmm.
so we can do better.
Mm-hmm.
And so having a platform like this, being able to talk to our communities about the things that are ailing our communities is like the most important thing that I think I could participate in my life because it did
Yes.
affect me. It affected me on the highest level.
Right.
And so for me to know that, I don't want that for my children, you
Right.
know? So it's like, if that's what everybody feels in their heart, then that means you got to play your part. That means you got to do
Mm-hmm.
what you got to do to make sure that your family understands. I'm super transparent with my children when it comes to my health
That's
uh,
beautiful.
because
Mm-hmm.
of what happened with my mom and my
Yeah.
grandfather. So it's like I
Yeah.
have to let them know that this is a possibility. I have to do everything to prepare for the likelihood that this is a possibility for
I
me.
love it. I love it. That is going to really equip them. So that's empowering them.
Yeah.
You're doing
Yeah.
that. That's empowering them and equipping them with what they need to live and take care of their health.
Hmm.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
you talked about being involved. If you were to be in a study, and I know diverse research now at some point was helping you to identify some studies, which is something we do.
Mhm.
We'll help you identify studies that on your behalf, like that might fit for you. And I know we were helping you do that, but sometimes it just doesn't go through. Sometimes there's eligibility issues. We appreciate your willingness to even participate and to keep pursuing that because sometimes some people will get like become ineligible or like say they don't fit for the study and they are ineligible and they get discouraged.
Of course.
But I try to like tell people like don't get discouraged. We'll just keep looking. We'll just keep because
Mm.
at some point, if you really want to be involved in research, it might come a time for you to be involved in a study. What kind
Mhm.
of study would for yourself? What kind of study would you participate in? Something dealing with the vascular dementia?
For sure. That's probably like where I would start and just understanding that that's a level of dementia or autism
Right, right, right.
doesn't necessarily mean that that is going to be even maybe the condition I may have. But if I have more information just, about autism in general, then that would be greatly appreciated to me, because just diving more and more into it, learning about it,
Yep.
you find out that, we're the only nation to diagnose it as dementia when it is really phrased everywhere else as type 3 diabetes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's just a little research that I was doing. And so you just
Okay.
realize that it's the similar symptoms that is really affecting our culture the most. Yeah. So that in itself, like getting that little information was just like, okay, so we're the only people that call it autism or dementia, when
Mm.
it's just really, it's the rotting of your brain. That's really what it is. Like you're poisoning yourself. And so you're basically killing yourself from the inside out.
Wow.
So I just found that out. I'm just like, okay, now I really have to look at diabetes as a whole. Like, what
Yeah.
is the cause of this? Like, what triggers this? And it's like, the more you see it, the more you realize it's the things we like, our cakes, our pies, our sweet potatoes. Like,
Yeah.
it's
I
like, it's
think
all the good stuff,
Yeah, I think research has definitely shown that there's a connection to diabetes and our food. There's definitely been a
Yes.
lot of research on that. But there's still a lot of research going on in that area, diabetes area. Because the thing I always say too is people always run away from research and being participants in studies, but this is the only way we identify medications that are
Hmm.
going to work for our community.
Hmm.
And the reason why that's important is because I always say this, but I'm like, we're gonna take some medication. Like black people, some of us are really set on not taking nothing, right? Living a
Right.
healthy life, like not having to take medication. And that's beautiful. I want that more for our community than taking medication. However, however, I feel like a lot of us is gonna take that medication that doctor put us on.
Yes.
And this is the main reason why I do the work that I do, is because there's been so many medications out here that are less effective in Black people and other communities of color because the medication was not tested on them. So what does that mean? That means that the medication that you're taking for your health condition was probably not tested on someone like you that lives in your environment that has your genetic makeup. And that medication, you get that medication and you wonder, like, why is this not working well for me? Why is it not bringing my numbers down the way it should? Why is it making me feel like this? I'm having these side effects like that nobody told me about. Well, because the doctors didn't know. Like the researchers
Exactly.
didn't know because they
Exactly.
didn't, someone like you wasn't in the study. So if we're gonna take this medication, I'm about to go Southern. I'm like, we best believe, we best know that we have to be involved in the making up of this medication. Continuing to allow these medications coming to market have only been tested in white men.
Mhm.
Oh my God, that's historical.
Yeah. Yeah. That,
And I
that goes
mean,
back
come
to the
on.
beginning, for sure. For sure.
And what we
And
know, they not like us. They not like us.
facts.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
for real. Like,
And they're not. Yeah, it's like, yes, it fits, but it's the truth as well. Yes, it's like it's fine, but it's the truth as well. There are things that we can endure that they cannot. Our level of strength and endurance, I think, is outmatched. Like, I don't think there is anyone that could sustain and go through and deal with as much as we've dealt with, but still be able to sit here and smile on a Sunday morning and
yeah,
just be appreciative.
yeah.
And so I think we have to take the same energy though and apply it to living a better life. And so that's why I want to make sure that I support you and what you're doing here,
Mm-hmm.
because it's important for my kids and their
Mm-hmm.
kids
Mm-hmm.
and the kids' kids. So it's like we got to start somewhere, and I can't see a better like avenue to start in when it comes to, like you said, us needing to and being in positions of decline like we are.
Yeah.
Like, we need to address this. This is like a call to like everybody. It's not in one place. It's all ages. Like I said, I got,
All ages. I
friend,
like that.
all ages.
You
It
said
really
that.
is.
It
It's
is
all
all ages.
ages.
It
Yeah,
is
it's
all
crazy.
ages. And we have to address it. I like that you said we have to address it, because participating in research, again, like I said, is not for everybody, but it is a way to address some of the issues. Like,
Mhm.
it's not the only way, but
Mhm.
it is,
Exactly.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is a way to address it. And then going back to like, they not like us, I'm talking about just scientifically. It has been proven like our genetic makeup is different because everything goes into that, and how our environment is different, our socioeconomic statuses, social, like all of it goes into how these medications is affecting us.
For sure.
And people don't realize that. So we definitely are like sounding the alarm about this, like bringing this to the community.
Like you said, they're not like us in the sense of like, yo, our life is like nowhere near the same as our stress levels,
Oh
our,
my God. Ooh, that's a big one.
and that's what I'm saying. Like the worry that we have of walking out of the house is not the worry that most people have. So that is anxiety. That causes you to feel, that causes your body to, so it's a deeper level. And I think people they don't want to go that deep about it, but your way of life has a lot to do with your way of life. Like, how do you live? How much stress is in your life? Like, life won't be what you expect it to be if you're not taking care of yourself. And if you can't take care of yourself, that's why I think having a program like yours and having even somebody to say, like, I'll meet you where you are.
Yes.
It's like,
man,
I'll meet you where you are. Yeah, huge. Because that's the hugest part. We can't travel to where you are. We can't come to you. But it's like, if I can come to you, that's how helpful I want to be in your life. Like, I'll come to you.
I love that. I love that because so that kind of goes into our next question about what do you want to tell the researchers and what should they know and understand about our community. And I think that's a good one where you're saying they need to come to us.
Yeah.
They need to come to our community.
For sure. I mean, to me, that's the only way because, like I said, it's a lot of the times traveling our elderly are elderly, and I think they should be treated as like kings and queens above all because, I mean, the life that they've lived and endured, it should be very much respected. I respect my grandfather telling me like, no, I'm not coming to see you. You come see me. I didn't understand it then. Yeah. I understand it now. Because if it wasn't for what he did, I wouldn't be here.
That's so true. I feel like that's a common thing in the Black community, at least, like we go see our elderly, they don't come see us.
Exactly. But when I think about it, I'm like, they shouldn't have to.
That's right.
They shouldn't have to. They worked hard to make sure that you can be wherever you are. And that's how it should be. But you should definitely remember where you came from and go back and stay in tune.
Of course.
And I think that's the other way to kind of get through to people too, is like, you may not always get the kids involved, but when it comes to the elderly, I think the grandkids, wanting to, I mean, everybody loves grandma. Everybody loves grandma. Everybody loves grandpa. So, it's like we want to make sure we can soak as much information in as we can from them. So it's like telling them that, hey, maybe the way in which you're doing X, you're doing Z, like maybe we need to get somebody to come over here and talk to us more about it. And I think having a program or a way to like say, hey, on Saturdays, we're going to take these meetings and we're going to talk to, I don't know, you're going to go to church or whatever it might be, because these are important conversations to have. Like, period.
And that is exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring as much knowledge to the Black community and other communities of color, as much knowledge as possible when it comes to these research studies that are going on. And there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of studies. It's a lot of information that they're gathering, that they're collecting, that they could share with us, and that could maybe improve our lives and help us and get us to thinking another type of way. And then that gives them also the opportunity to share with the community about like the benefits and the risks of research, because we don't shy away from that. We tell the community like, hey, there are risks. Our last chow and chat we have chow and chats every once a month where we feed the community and we have these conversations. In the last chow and chat, a young lady had talked about how she wouldn't get involved in research. She was just kind of like, her whole demeanor was just like,
right.
And she's a younger woman, I think, younger, like not middle age, but in her maybe 30s. And it was just because she didn't want to deal with the risks that came along with in research. So again, that's a valid concern. That's something to be concerned about. So my thing is that's fine. And we told her, like, we definitely understand that. Again, participating in research is not for everyone, but there might come a time in your life where you maybe diagnosed with something, or like family members diagnosed with something. And that is when like the option of research could possibly come into play. Of course, if we're going about taking care of ourselves, living healthy lives, a lot of times we're not thinking about it, but you never know when it could come into play. And we just just want people to know that it's an option out there.
And that's beautiful. And that's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. And that's again why I wanted to participate, because if I'm being honest, I mean, if it wasn't for my mom, I don't know how interested I would be, right?
Yeah.
I would go to the doctor like anyone else. A doctor would tell me whatever they would tell me, and I would probably take whatever they prescribe for me to take.
Yep.
And without really like, hey, is this helping? Is this hurting? Is there something better that I can do to prevent me even needing to take this? Because like you said, there may come a point I might need the medication, but if there are things that I can do preventatively prior to me needing to take them,
huge.
Huge.
And
I mean, that's probably 10, 15 years of life right there, just doing what you can yourself.
And that's a great point to make, because we think of clinical research as, oh, this is a problem that they're solving because people are sick. Honestly, a lot of research is about preventive measures. This is also how we find out how to prevent certain conditions. Comparing data, looking at what happened with this person opposed to what happened to that person. So this is a way to prevent as well. So that is huge in research. That's actually a really great point for at least the community to know.
And, we want the best. We want the best for us. And I think a lot of us, it kind of does revolve around trust.
Yes.
And, that's more so what I understand more than anything. But if we look at people like yourself, if we look at other doctors, like we have enough to do it ourselves, right? We just need to get together and really make it happen. Because I know for certain these HBCUs are pushing our doctors left and right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So there's a community that we can build ourselves to develop the trust that we need to trust the medical departments, and I think that's where a lot of it comes from. Especially to where we're not that far removed from experimentation, right? We're just not that far removed from, that happening to my grandmother's mom or that era. Like we're not that far removed from it. So
no, we're not.
The trust in medical still is there for us, because sometimes you go to the doctor, you ain't leaving, and so I can understand the fear of, like, even myself as a male, we're not taught to like go to the doctor. That's not something that was drilled in my head to, hey, if you're not feeling well, go to the doctor. They're like, no, you'll get through it. It's always what somebody will tell you. And it's like, there should be something else other than you'll get through it. There should be some other information that you could share with me. There should be something else that you could present other than you just get some rest, you'll be fine. Tough it out. And that sticks with you. That sticks with you, and that sticks with you. And then guess what? You only go to the doctor when it's the worst.
Right.
And then you in there, you're like, man, why am I here? You don't know. You don't know because you didn't do what you could to find out. And it's not your fault per se. It's just that that's not something that was told to you, some information that was handed to you. So now, like you said, we have a different level of responsibility. We can't say I didn't know today. You just can't be like, hey, I didn't even know that can happen. Do the research, find out, seek out the information. And I think having a program like yours is going to, I just feel like that's where it could really change our perspective. On like how we want, not just see, a lot of the people, like, we'll look at our youth, but like really the life that we want to live the best parts of is the rest of it after our youth, right? In our late 50s. And that's where, to me, it sounds like it would get better.
Yeah.
But yet we get into those categories of 50s and 60-year-olds, and they're like, some of them, got knee, leg, like heart, lung problems. And it's like, man, we're so young. Yeah. And yet the next 20 or 30 years are all going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think that's a big
crazy.
misconception. Yeah, that's a big misconception in our community, and maybe even other communities, where we feel like at a certain age we have to start going down, like in our health.
Yeah. Honestly, and that's crazy.
Like, what number is that? Right. Like, what number is that?
I should start declining at 80. Like in real life, like I should be 80. Man, I'm starting to forget stuff.
And I'm okay with that. 80 and up. I feel like that's when, for me, that's like, you elderly. You like,
right. You get two elderlies. You like elderly. Like,
because elderly. But even at 80, if we take care of ourselves and we really take care of our healthcare, then I mean, who's to say that 80 has to be when we start slowing down? And we got some good genes. I know a lot of Black families that got grandma and grandpa living to almost 100 or maybe
Fact.
even
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, some of us got some healthy lifespans that's passed down, and we want to live our life like that's part of the reason why we have our mission and came up with our organization is because again, we want to bring better health to our community. Better health is longer health. Also, you know, like having it to last a little bit longer. Be advocates. I like what you said about research, you know, like do your own research, be your own advocate. This is all a part of our message because
it's just one more for yourself, you know, just one more for yourself. That's just really it. Like I said, the longest time we have just maybe we expect people to give us something, but you have to want more for yourself. And I want to know more about how I can prevent this from happening to me or my children. And so what am I going to do? Like the moment you was like, hey, this is what, yes, please sign me up. Yes, I want in.
I think that's the best takeaway is we're going to get out of here. But I think that's the best takeaway is that you are interested in research because you want more for yourself and your family, like health wise. You want to pass that health information that you're getting. You need to pass that down to your children. And that is mostly why you would participate. Yeah.
100%.
Great reason. Great reason.
100%.
Yep. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Frazier. I appreciate you. We will get out of here, but again, maybe we'll have you on again and have another topic to talk about. We'll see. You were a great guest. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. You're a great host. Great host.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Of course. You're welcome.
Take care.
You too.